Amina had always been an obedient girl, following her parents' strict rules. But as the Christmas holidays approached, the excitement and temptation of freedom began to weigh on her. Her friends, especially her best friend, Wanjiku, kept telling her about the parties and gatherings they were attending. One evening, while Amina was helping her mother prepare dinner, Wanjiku visited her. "Amina, you can't miss the party tomorrow night. Everyone will be there," Wanjiku said, his eyes shining with excitement. "You know my parents will never let me go there," Amina replied with a sigh. "But it's Christmas. You can't stay locked up here all your life. Come with us, just this once," Wanjiku insisted. Amina hesitated, looking at her mother who was busy in the kitchen. She knew that disobeying her parents was wrong, but the idea of spending an evening with her friends was tempting. "I'll think about it," she said finally, hoping that would be enough to calm Wanjiku down. The next day, Amina spent the day helping her mother with the housework, but her mind was elsewhere. She thought about the party, the laughter and the music. She wondered what it would be like to feel free, even if only for one night. "Amina, you seem distracted today," Mama Mwangi remarked as they prepared lunch. "It's nothing, Mom. Just a little tired," Amina lied, not wanting to worry her mother. That evening, after her parents had fallen asleep, Amina slipped out of the house. She had made sure to leave a note on her pillow explaining that she would be back before dawn. She joined Wanjiku and their friends at the party, which was held in a secluded house on the outskirts of the village. The party was in full swing when she arrived. The music was loud and laughter echoed in the air. Amina let herself be carried away by the festive atmosphere, momentarily forgetting her parents' warnings. But as the night wore on, she began to feel uneasy. A group of young men she didn't know seemed to be following her with their eyes, their intentions clearly malicious. "Amina, are you okay?" Wanjiku asked, noticing her friend's discomfort. "Yeah, I'm fine. It's just... I don't know these guys," Amina replied, trying to hide her discomfort. "Don't worry, they're just here to have fun like us," Wanjiku said, trying to reassure her friend. But Amina couldn't shake that uneasy feeling. She decided to stay close to Wanjiku and their friends, hoping that it would protect her. Suddenly, one of the men approached her and offered her a drink. Amina, sensing danger, politely refused and tried to move away. But the man insisted, becoming more and more aggressive. "Come on, just one drink. We are here to have fun, right?" the man said, with a smile that seemed to hide something more sinister. "No, thanks. I don't drink," Amina replied, trying to remain calm. The man didn't seem ready to give up. He moved closer to Amina, pinning her against the wall. Amina felt panic rising inside her. She desperately searched for a way out, but the man blocked her path. "Leave me alone, please," Amina said, her voice shaking. "Why are you in such a hurry? We can have some fun," the man insisted, his smile becoming more and more menacing. Amina felt her heart pounding. She knew she had to escape, but she didn't know how. Suddenly, she felt a reassuring presence at her side. A family friend, who had noticed her discomfort, intervened and helped her escape. "Leave her alone," the friend said firmly, stepping between Amina and the man. The man stepped back, surprised by the intervention. Amina took advantage of this to quickly move away, followed closely by her friend. "Thank you," Amina said, relieved, as they walked away from the party. "Be careful, Amina. This is not a safe place for you," the friend warned before disappearing into the night. Amina rushed towards the exit, her heart still pounding. She knew she had to get home immediately. She ran as fast as she could, hoping no one was following her. Back home, Amina threw herself into her parents' arms, telling them what had happened. They prayed together, thanking God for protecting her. The pastor and his wife reminded her of the importance of following their advice and remaining cautious. Amina, we love you and we just want to protect you, Mama Mwangi said with tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, Mom. I won't disobey again, Amina promised, sincerely repentant. The next morning, Amina woke up feeling guilty. She knew she had disobeyed her parents and put her life in danger. She decided to spend the day helping her mother with the household chores, hoping to make up for it. Amina, you seem worried. Is everything okay? Mama Mwangi asked as they cleaned the house. Yes, Mom. I'm just thinking about what happened last night, Amina answered honestly. We just want to protect you, Amina. The world can be a dangerous place, especially for a young girl like you, Mama Mwangi said, placing a reassuring hand on her daughter's shoulder. Amina nodded, understanding the wisdom in her mother's words. She spent the rest of the day praying and reflecting on her actions. She promised herself that she would never disobey her parents again. But as the days passed, the temptation of freedom and adventure returned. Wanjiku and his friends continued to tell her about the parties and gatherings they attended, and Amina felt more and more isolated. Amina, you can't stay locked up here forever. Come with us, just one more time, Wanjiku insisted one evening. Amina hesitated, remembering the promise she had made to her parents. But the temptation was strong, and she finally gave in. Okay, just this once, she said, hoping everything would go well. The night started off well. The club was packed, the music was upbeat, and the atmosphere was festive. Amina and her friends were dancing and laughing, enjoying every moment. But as the night wore on, Amina found herself separated from her friends. She headed to the bar to get a drink and found herself surrounded by a group of men she didn't know. Hello, beautiful lady. Are you all alone? One of the men asked, with a smile that seemed to hide something more sinister. No, I'm with friends, Amina answered, trying to stay calm. Looks like they left you all alone. Come on, let's have some fun, the man insisted, moving closer to her. Amina felt panic rising inside her. She looked around desperately for her friends, but she couldn't see them anywhere. She decided to remain polite but firm. No, thanks. I'm going to join my friends, she said, trying to walk away. But the man didn't seem ready to give up. He moved even closer, pinning her against the bar. Amina felt her heart pound. She knew she had to escape, but she didn't know how. Leave me alone, please, Amina said, her voice shaking. Why are you in such a hurry? We can have some fun, the man insisted, his smile becoming more and more menacing. Suddenly, one of the man's friends came over and handed him a glass. Here, drink this. It will relax you, he said, with a disturbing smile. Amina hesitated, sensing danger. But she didn't want to provoke a confrontation. She took the glass, hoping it would calm the situation. Thank you, she said, trying to remain calm. She took a sip of her drink, immediately sensing that something was wrong. Her vision became blurry, and she felt dizzy. She tried to move away, but her legs wouldn't obey her anymore. The men dragged her outside, away from prying eyes. Amina tried to scream, but her voice was weak and muffled. Leave me alone, she whispered, feeling panic rise up inside her. But the men didn't seem ready to give up. They dragged her into a dark alley, and what followed was a nightmare from which she never woke. Meanwhile, Wanjiku and Amina's other friends were desperately searching for her. They had noticed her absence and were worried. Where is Amina? Wanjiku asked, his voice filled with panic. I don't know. We lost sight of her, replied one of the friends, equally worried. They searched everywhere in the club, asking everyone if they had seen Amina. But no one seemed to know where she was. We have to find her. Something is wrong, Wanjiku said, sensing the urgency of the situation. They walked out of the club, hoping to find her outside. But the street was deserted, and there was no sign of Amina. 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 Wanjiku cried, his voice cracking with worry. But there was no answer. Amina's friends continued to search for her, hoping to find her safe and sound. But they knew something terrible had happened. Meanwhile, Amina's parents, alerted by her absence, were desperately searching for her. They had noticed that she had not returned at the agreed time and were worried. "Amina, where are you?" Mama Mwangi whispered, tears in her eyes, looking at the clock. Reverend Mwangi and Mama Mwangi prayed together, hoping that their daughter would return safely. But they knew something terrible had happened. "Lord, protect our daughter. Bring her back to us safe and sound," Reverend Mwangi prayed, his voice breaking with emotion. But it was too late. Amina would never come back. It was late at night when Amina's friends realized she was missing. Wanjiku, in particular, was devastated. She felt responsible for what had happened to her friend. She remembered the warnings from Amina's parents and wondered if she should have insisted more that Amina stay home. "We have to find her," Wanjiku said, his voice shaking. "We can't leave her like this." Amina's friends scattered through the dark streets, calling her name, hoping against hope that she would answer. But the night remained silent, except for the distant sound of club music. Before we continue, if this story touched you, please leave a like. These stories are just the beginning. Discover even more drama, mystery, and passion by subscribing. Let's continue. Finally, as dawn began to break, they discovered a dark, secluded alleyway. They approached cautiously, hoping against hope that Amina would be there. But what they found sent a chill down their spines. Amina lay on the ground, motionless and silent. Her clothes were torn, and her face was marked with pain and fear. Amina's friends rushed to her, hoping it was not too late. "Amina! Amina, wake up!" Wanjiku cried, her voice broken by sobs. But Amina did not answer. Her eyes were closed, and her body was cold and still. Amina's friends realized with horror that their friend was gone forever. "No, no, no!" Wanjiku cried, his voice torn with pain. Amina's other friends joined her, crying and praying for their lost friend. They knew they had to tell Amina's parents, but they were afraid of how they would react. "We have to warn them. They have to know," one of the friends said, his voice trembling. Wanjiku nodded, knowing they had no choice. They headed towards Amina's house with heavy hearts and tears in their eyes. When they arrived, Amina's parents were already up, desperately waiting for news of their daughter. Seeing the devastated faces of Amina's friends, they immediately understood that something terrible had happened. "Where is Amina?" Mama Mwangi asked, her voice trembling. Wanjiku took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. She's gone," she finally said, her voice broken by sobs. Amina's parents collapsed, overwhelmed by pain and grief. They knew their daughter was gone forever, and there was nothing they could do to bring her back. "No, no, no!" Mama Mwangi cried, her voice torn with pain. Reverend Mwangi held his wife close, sharing her pain and grief. They knew they had to stay strong, but the loss of their daughter had shaken them deeply. "Lord, why have you forsaken us?" Reverend Mwangi prayed, his voice breaking with emotion. Amina's friends joined them, crying and praying for their lost friend. They knew life would never be the same without Amina, but they hoped her story would serve as a lesson to all who had known her. "Amina will always be in our hearts," Wanjiku said, her voice trembling. "Her story will always remind us of the importance of caution and family love." The village of Kisumu was plunged into mourning. The news of Amina's tragic demise spread like wildfire, leaving a huge hole in everyone's hearts. Amina's parents, Reverend Mwangi and Mama Mwangi, were inconsolable. Their home, once filled with laughter and prayers, was now silent except for the stifled sobs. The days that followed were marked by deep sadness. Neighbors and family friends came to pay their respects to Amina, bringing cooked food and words of comfort. But nothing could ease the pain of Amina's parents. "Why, Lord? Why did you take our daughter from us?" Mama Mwangi whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. Reverend Mwangi, though devastated, tried to stay strong for his wife and the community. He knew their faith would be tested, but he hoped Amina's tragedy would serve as a lesson to all. "We must stay strong," he said to his wife, his voice breaking with emotion. "Amina would like us to continue praying and helping others." Mama Mwangi nodded, trying to find comfort in her husband's words. She knew he was right, but the pain was too raw to be soothed so easily. Meanwhile, Wanjiku and Amina's other friends were also devastated. They felt guilty for not being able to protect her and for not listening to her parents' warnings. They decided to set up a foundation in her name aimed at raising awareness among young people about the dangers of going out at night and promoting safety and caution. "Amina will always be with us," Wanjiku said at the foundation's inauguration. "Her story will always remind us of the importance of caring for each other and following our parents' advice." The parents of the village became aware of the dangers that awaited their children and redoubled their vigilance. The young girls promised to be more careful, their joy now darkened by the memory of Amina's story. "Amina will always be in our hearts," said one of the village girls, tears in her eyes. "We will never forget her." Reverend Mwangi and Mama Mwangi, though still grieving, found some comfort in the fact that their daughter's tragedy had served to protect so many other young people. They continued to pray for Amina, knowing that she was watching over them from heaven. "Amina, our beautiful daughter, you will always be in our hearts," said Mama Mwangi, with tears in her eyes, looking at a photo of her daughter. The village of Kisumu changed after the Amina tragedy. Young people were more aware of the dangers around them, and parents were more vigilant. The Amina Foundation grew, touching thousands of lives across the country.